Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. I hope you enjoy, so let's get started.
Hello everybody, it's another weekend. Let's see what we get into. Of course, as always, had to go thrifting over the weekend. I picked up this, I don't remember the actual name of these. I don't know if they were the Pro keyboard. This is the wireless keyboard. It was $11, a little much, but it is a wireless version. I've seen these at thrift stores a handful of times. I don't know why I've never picked them up in the past. Maybe they're a bit more expensive. But I have a computer at work that this would be perfect for because I like having the numeric pad when putting in parts. And the one that I had before was a wired version, and it didn't really seem to work all the time. It was nice having the USB ports here on the back, but after like a minute or two, it would just give up sending inputs to the computer. Really weird. So anyway, I looked inside. The contacts aren't bad. Definitely had some batteries in it at some point that leaked a little bit, but it didn't corrode anything, so that's good. So this will need to get a cleanup. I think I'll bring it in and just make sure it works off the bat and then clean it from there. So I'm sure could have found this cheaper somewhere else, but a useful thing that we can use at work, that's important. So anyway, the other funner thing is this ballast here. Picked this up for, I already took the label off it, I think it was $8. A bit much for what you find out it is here in a second, but it is a pretty nice condition box here for a replacement ballast. It says Miami Beach, Florida. Must be where this US Fluorescent company was based. Now, I don't know if this originally had a US Fluorescent labeled ballast inside, but I want to say I found these before. I think I have one in the collection that's for a Circle Line fixture, and it had a different named ballast inside, I think. I don't think it was by them. I'm sure they get the ballast from somebody else, and then they just put them in their own box. So that's the box itself, very sturdy cardboard box, and here's the ballast that was inside. It's an Advance ballast. It doesn't say anything about it being a Mark 1, 2, or 3, like some of the other ones that I have acquired over time. This one does specify that it can do the energy saver lamps, which is great because I have a whole bunch of those. It is high power factor. So the reason I have it wired up here is because the yellow wires didn't have stripped ends on them. So I kind of had a feeling that this was used. And maybe it is, I'm not sure. The ends down here had stripped ends, and I just put it on some of these terminal sockets so we could test it. The label is in really good condition, and it's not necessarily dusty dirty either. Here's the labeling on the back. I'm sure some of that is a date code. I don't even know what that says. 80 something, very hard to read. But it's not like incredibly rusty. We do have a little bit of tar coming out here, but that could have been from manufacturing for all I know. So it could be a brand new ballast, or it could be one that someone replaced and put back in the box. I'm not entirely sure because the ends here, the yellow ends, were not trimmed, or stripped, I should say. Now, pretty common, however, for these yellow wires to come out of these replacement ballasts to be short, because they would expect you to cut the wires off of the old ballast and use that to help you wire your new one. And they're a little bit shorter, excuse me, than the red and blue ones here. But I had this running yesterday, and it does work fine. Now, it's a little hard to get going because, of course, there's nothing grounding it here. And Rapid Start needs something grounding it to get it going. But we can certainly try here to see what we can do. And I was just rubbing the tube yesterday, and that seemed to get it going. Let's see if we can get some magic going here. You can see the end glowing. See how I'm creating a... I probably need two hands for this. But if I also grab the ground here for the circuit, you know, there's a ground on our... Let's see here. Okay, we had... Oh, we're getting somewhere. Yes, the magic touch. There we go. So if we help ground the bulbs, it does turn on. And once it warms up, the ballast is actually quite quiet. It's a little flickery right now. It's been sitting out here in the cool air. So once you give it a minute, it does brighten right on up. So I'm pretty happy with it. The reason I say $8 is a little much is because I'm not sure if it's used or new. If it's new, that's great. If it's used, well, it's not in that bad a shape. So, I mean, the label on it is pretty darn perfect. I'm just not sure because it seems like it may have been installed a little bit or something. I don't know. Either way, there's our ballast. Can always use a T12 ballast. This lamp was at my bedside upstairs, but I really feel it would fit here a lot better. I really wanted another one of these lamps that had some of the neons in it, and the wood already goes with some of the other wood stuff in the room, you know, so it kind of just matches decently. Now, obviously, this light here, well, that thing's going to go away, and we'll get rid of the other lights up here as well, because the neons will kind of cover as a night light if you so desire. Or maybe I'll put some littler bulbs in there. Haven't decided yet. But currently we have a 5-watt PL bulb in here. Maybe I'll up that to a 13-watt so it's a little brighter if you're going through your luggage or something. But that is the lamp. I'm going to have to move the picture there either up or somewhere else because the shade kind of hits it a little bit. But I am pleased that it sits on this shelf here perfectly. It doesn't hang off or anything. I really do like the look of that here. So, well, I'll have to do something with all these tables and things. But I've been going through in my mind what I wanted to do to put a light in this corner, and I really like how that looks. So I'm going to leave that there. That looks nice there, I think. The other week at the thrift store, I ended up picking up this multi-outlet power strip here for $7. That's not a bad deal at all. But I have a use for this. As you may remember from some previous vlogs, this is perfect for putting up above our under cabinet lamp display here and plugging it all in. So I'm going to swing this on down, install this, and we'll get a preheat show. You probably saw in the last clip, looking at the power strip there, that there was water on the floor in the corner. So I was like, what in the world is that? Something's leaking. Well, it wasn't the trash can. I didn't have anything in it. It was the freezer here. Now, this used to hold all kinds of different, well, frozen foods. It did have some pizzas and other things in it from when we have friends in town. We just put them in there and wait for another time. So I unplugged it yesterday, so that I could run some other things on the circuit without blowing it, because whenever this thing turns on and I have a light on or the vacuum or something, it blows the little 15 amp circuit or 20 amp, whatever it is. Either way, so I had it unplugged so that wouldn't happen, and overnight it started to defrost, which is a good thing. I've been needing to do this for a while because you can see it's definitely frosted up in there. So I'm going to leave this open with the towel here to catch all the defrostingness, and I moved what was in here up into the freezer upstairs. It was cold, so I'm sure everything's still fine, because it was, well, still cold. It just wasn't, you know, perfectly frozen anymore. So anyway, it's up there. This is going to defrost. It's something that has been needing to be done for quite some time anyway. There it is. It looks a little off-centered, but all the outlets are centered. We have the switch on this end, and that just makes it a little bit easier to access anyway. But now, we'll take all of our cords, and I think we'll be a little short on plugs. It might be perfect, but the nice thing is that the plugs are far enough apart you can put more splitters on it, because, you know, why not? Since these are relatively low-powered devices, we will be okay with this kind of setup. But if you're powering anything that's sucking a lot of power, you don't want to do this. This is not how you want to power a whole bunch of devices. But again, this is a display of lower power lights of relatively low wattage. So it's not pulling as much power as one might expect if you were to load this up with a whole bunch of, you know, higher power lights or computer components and things like that. So that's why I feel safe doing something like this, but be very cautious how many amps you will be pulling through something like this. So, with that being said, we got everything plugged in. Let's plug in our main cord and see what we get. And there's our board of Preheat under cabinet lights. Yes, it is annoying, doesn't it sound so? Yes, it's this one right here. That's a lot better, isn't it? That thing needs a new ballast, but I'm just gonna let it be the way it is. Let's see if I can do some type of a preheat action startup here. Holding the camera appropriately. Let's do a more wide angle lens there. Maybe we'll have a better luck with it. Here we go. And of course this one's off and that one's manual preheat, so it has to be turned on manually by holding down the button. Awesome. One more time up in its new home. So glad to finally have this operational. And here's my adapter of choice. It's a 13-watt quad tube PL adapter with a used GE bulb in it here. This is perfect to fit in here to replace our 5-watt PL adapter. Whenever I have a chance to use a PL adapter, that's what I'm doing. There's our 13-watt PL adapter, as you can see in there. But I want to try something else. Let's try a circle line adapter. Why not? This one's new old stock. I've had around for a while. Never been out of its package. $2, not bad. It should fit in there. Let's give it a go. Got it out of the package without damaging the package, which is nice. We did have to cut the top of the plastic here, but once you get it back in there, you wouldn't know that it was, you know, cut right along the seam there. And it'll hold it just fine, but you can see some of the examples here behind where the adapter was. Obviously we have a table lamp, that's what we're going to do, but note that all of these adapters have the red label on them. This one has a black label. I want to say I've seen all red, green, blue, black. There's been all different kinds of labels for these as they've evolved over the years. This is a not so early model. It has the starter and the plug here. There were some models that had the starter and the base up here and then had a 4-pin plug, but this one is in the little plug here. Now we have our Lights of America bulb here. It's warm white rapid start, even though it's on preheat, but it is made in Japan, so it should be a nice quality bulb. Got the bulb in place and the harp on. Now we just need to set our shade on top. For right now, yeah, that fits in there just fine. Okay, here we go. Oh, beautiful. Wow, that is a lot brighter too. Definitely more of the fluorescent warm white color than the warm white that this was giving off. Okay, let's turn off the light in the room. Not bad. I'll still have to decide in my head what one I'd like more. This definitely gives off a little bit more light if you're working in your luggage or something. I'll leave them both of them here and eventually we'll pick one. Last weekend I picked up this dual F40 T12 rapid start ballast here, and I wasn't sure if it was new or used or whatever, but anyway, it works. I tested it out with some lamps here after getting them going because obviously the workbench is not a grounded surface. They worked absolutely fine. And I have an idea on what I'd like to do with this ballast actually. I have this dual F32 T8 fluorescent fixture here that I think would be much better with some T12s in it. Picked this up way back when I got the house, and it was to be one of the lights that lit up this side of the garage, really. I believe it ended up in a couple different spots and then ended up here, because this is a little bit bigger, you know, it's deeper, it's kind of a more modern version of these tanks. But while the T8s work well, it kind of looks funny in this fixture. So I'm going to get this thing down and let's see if we can convert it to T12. Here's the stickers inside. Now, I don't really notice a brand on any of this, but maybe these stickers look familiar to some type of brand. But we do have a UL sticker up here, and just our basic fluorescent stickers and whatnot, made in Mexico, back in what appears to be 2014. And here's our ballast here. It's an Advance ballast. Take a look at it there. Flip this back around. On the other end, we just have our sockets. Now, the interesting thing here is that this is plastic, at least the outside cover is. This appears to be metal. The socket is plastic, the outside cover is plastic. It would be nice if it was all metal, but at least we have a metal channel here. So I'm going to take these ends off the best I can and see how these wires are connected inside, if they have special fittings or if we will need to do something else. As you see, it's a complete socketed end. It's one whole unit. Now, we're going to try to pop off this cover and see what we can find inside. But we do have some metal clips here. And looking these up online, they seem to all look pretty much like this, with a metal inside face and just a plastic back on it. But you can get these in different versions. This one has 2 sockets. You can get them in 3 as well. You can get them in slimline and HO, VHO, all that kind of stuff. So these come in a variety of different styles. Now this end is stationary, and this end has the plunger inside. With the back cover off, here's what's inside. So again, these are the stationary sockets. They don't have any type of spring or anything, but you can see that you can remove the wires by pushing in another wire there to pop them out. So we'll probably do something like that so that we can preserve the wires from this Advance ballast. And of course, we'll do the same thing on the other end. Now, the wires coming out of this might be a little short. We'll have to see, but that's what we have extra wire for. And here's the other side that has the plungers. Now, it's interesting to note that these are the exact same sockets. The only difference here is, as you can see at the top of the socket inside, there is a spring right there. And there's not a spring here. Now, this one has a stud that goes all the way to the back and touches this back area. This one has one that's cut off about right there. So by shortening that stud and putting a spring on it, we get a spring-loaded socket. And this could be modified to be spring-loaded too. Just trim that little stud there, and it would be made spring-loaded. So it's interesting that it's pretty much the same design. A perfect giveaway that this thing was used, and maybe you've already commented about it. But yeah, it's got marks from where the screws used to hold it in place. So it's most certainly a used ballast. At least it still works. So obviously the wires from this ballast are just too short to reach. And yes, these are shorter on purpose. They should be on this end closer to the other sockets. But I need these power leads to be long enough to reach down here. So we're just going to flip it around. And I took some wires off of an old ballast that no longer works. And that gave us just enough length to get to what we need to do here. Did the same thing down here with the yellows. And once we get it all put together, we'll give it a go. There's our old ballast. Here's our new one, or new to the fixture anyway. It's all wired up. Looking pretty good. Let's get the reflector on here and get some bulbs in it. And we'll give it a test. One of the nice things about these plunger sockets is that if you have any bulbs with the pins at the end that are starting to like get loose or fall out, and you're a little concerned about having them in a more traditional style socket like this, where it relies heavily on those pins being intact to squish to the side there to hold the lamp in, here you don't have to worry about if they're wiggly around. You just need to put them inside, bend them a little bit to fit into the socket here. And as you see, that kind of depresses in. Then you can come down here and just line it up. Make sure it's seated in there nicely, because these aren't the most springy, you know, with high quality spring things in the world. But there you go. There's the bulbs. Looks much better being T12. Now let's get it plugged in. Okay, we got it plugged in. Here we go. Oh. Okay, we got it plugged in. Here we go. It's flickering. It should come to life. There it goes. Now these are 34 watt energy saver lamps. They're not 40 watt full wattage like the Preheat fixture here. These are incredibly bright to their fullest extent. These will be quite dim, but I have a bunch of these and I want to use them up. So, being that the Ballast does say it accommodates these 34 and the more harder to find 35 watt versions, we will use them in this fixture so that we can use them up. Now the other thing I'm interested in is that if I can put the colored covers on these, and it does look like there's enough space there to accommodate it, so let's give it a try. It is literally the perfect size. As you can see, it depresses all the way into the socket too. So they did design this socket to accommodate these protective covers, which makes sense because a lot of installations, if it's in like a food service area or industry, you know, something they're processing meats or whatever, they need to have these covers on it in case something happens to the bulbs. So, of course, they accommodated for that literally perfectly. There it is, back up in its home. The reflector's held on with these two kind of wing nut style bolts here that you just screw in, and that holds the reflector in place. A very fancy way to do it, really. Ah, gotta love that hum as well. That looks so good. Oh, I love that. Much older looking. Perfect. Yeah, I'm real happy with it. Lights everything up over here just as well as the T8 did. Of course, the T8 is brighter, but the T12 is much more fun.
I really do hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Leave a like down below and a comment. I do enjoy reading all of your comments. Of course, check out the other videos here on the screen. And until next time, thank you very much for watching.